welcome back to Okage, Shadow King. We're in the World Library, where Baelone resides. And he's the idiot who's been doing everything to everyone. And he has welcomed us here so he can beat us up himself, I guess. I don't know. Usually when the villain says, yeah, I know you've thwarted every single thing that I've ever done, but, I can take you. Then they're usually on their last legs. Or this guy's got a plan. We'll find out. So a brief mention before we go on. This is the end of the game. This is the final dungeon of the game, leading up to what will be the final encounters. And in turn, I kind of needed to decide on a final party, because this area is huge, and they expect you to gain a lot of levels in here. I've seen people tackle the final boss at... I've seen people tackle the final boss in their 50s, and I have no idea how. I've seen other people struggle in their 60s. So, I don't know exactly what to believe. I do know that I struggled against that last boss, which means I probably need to gain some levels. So here we are. I figured I would like the gap to have been a little bit smaller, but I'm going with Ari, Rosalind, and Linda as my final main team. The other three, I all got up to 50 because they were like 40 something. I got all of them up to 50. And these three, I got up to 60 was my goal. And then Ari hit 70 along the way because you can never take him out of the party. I've also saved up plenty of money to go back to the beginning of, or to go back and buy the best gear everyone can have. So right now Ari has the Sword of Gear, which is his best weapon. He has the Natural Outfit, which is his second best armor. The best armor comes from the event. I forget what it's called. We did Rosalind for that one. But another option was getting his best armor, so we have the second best armor. Rosalind has the Gallant Rapier, which is her best weapon, and the Hero's Armor, which was her best armor. Kissling. Technically, this is his third best weapon, and I can buy his second best weapon, but I'm not actively using him right now, and I can get his best weapon soon enough. So that's the only thing left for us right now is Kissling's best weapon. The Basics Only coat is his best armor, which we bought in town. Big Bull, he only has one weapon in the entire game, and that's the Battle Manual, which I think he got to start with, so don't have to worry about that. Inferno Pants is his best armor. Linda has the Love Mic, which is her best weapon, and the Celeb Dress, which is her best armor. Epros has the K of Clubs, which is his second best weapon, and the Conjurer Tux, which is his best armor. It's his second best weapon. His best weapon, again, comes from the event that we got Rosalind's reward for. And I think that's everyone. So the only best anythings that we're missing all came from that one event where we kind of had to pick and choose. I still got the Omni Booster on everybody. I don't think it's really mattered too much. It's certainly not made me overpowered in any way imaginable. But aside from something that would maybe prevent status effects, it is effectively the best accessory in the game, so that's what everybody's got. Now, a word, and this may go for a little while, hopefully it doesn't go for too super long, but I'm just going to sum up all information at the start of this video, and we can just churn out from here. So in deciding what my party was going to be, I did a lot of looking into what each party member was capable of, what their stats were, what their stats could be, and the spells that they can cast. So, starting off with Ari, let's just talk about everybody. Starting off with Ari. Ari has he has exceptionally high hit points. Second only to Big Bull in HP. He has really high attack. Second, again, only to Big Bull. He has really high defense. In fact, second. And he has really high MP, which is actually the highest of anyone. He has the highest MP of anyone. The other two stats that we can worry about are luck and agility, which I'm not going to really comment on too much. Luck is effectively the same for every person except for one. And that one person... the only thing luck does is it's kind of like accuracy. It makes... in that you will miss less often, and there's a greater chance of getting an item drop at the end of a battle. But otherwise, it's the same for everybody, so I'm not worrying about luck. Agility is another one that varies between people, but to my knowledge, the only thing agility does is it determines how fast your bar fills up in battle. And I find that we spend so much time waiting in queue that the minor differences between agility of all the different party members is kind of negligible. So I'm not even worried about luck or agility. So we're going to be focusing on HP, attack, defense, and magic. Which, magic, it's MP. To explain these, HP and attack are pretty obvious. Attack actually also has a pretty significant hand in how much magic damage you do. DP is defense points, that's self-explanatory. Magic or MP is how much MP you add to the party's LP. And I think it has a minor hand in how much damage spells do, but I don't think it's much. So those are the 4 stats that I'm going to look at. So mostly, though, Ari is kind of a beast. He's got exceptionally high in every stat. If he's ever, second in a stat, it's because he's second to the one person who specializes in that one stat. On top of that, spell-wise, he's got good offense spells. He's got a lot of support. He's just all around a friggin' beast. So next up, Rosalind. Rosalind has really high HP, really high attack, really high defense, and average magic. She's a little bit lower than Ari in terms of HP and defense, but her attack is actually equal with him. Spell-wise, she has a lot of support. She kind of lacks in the offensive magic. She has a couple, hit all enemies on the field magic, but she kind of lacks in offensive magic, but she's got a lot of support. She ends up being, honestly, she's kind of an Ari light. Next up is Kissling. So, something of note is looking at, HP and attack and defense and things, is if you look at only their raw stats, that only tells you part of the story. You also need to look at what equipment they can have. And for the most part, especially around level 50 or 60, where you're expected to finish the game, equipment does a pretty good job of covering for weaknesses. You'll find characters that have a really high attack maybe have weapons that don't have as much attack to them. Or characters with a really low attack have weapons that add a lot to their attack. And the same with defense. So, Kissling, of everyone, Ari and Rosalind didn't really have any standout equipment. Their equipment just kind of did what it needed to do. Good stuff. Kissling has the lowest HP of everyone, flat. He has the lowest attack of everyone, flat. He has the lowest defense of everyone, flat. Now, of note, though, is Kissling, because he has the lowest attack and because he has the lowest defense, he actually gets some of the highest stat increase armor and weapon, the highest stat increase armor and weapon that is in the game. In fact, when we get his most powerful weapon here in the future here, his attack will go up 40 points, which is silly. But of all the defenses, he still has the lowest defense. And even with what is effectively the best defensive armor in the game, it's only like a handful of points, 2-3 points higher than the next person, which means even at the end of everything, he's at best got like the second worst defense. Even attack, he ends up with like a really high increase weapon, but even with that, he's got like tops the second highest or the second lowest attack. And he still has an embarrassingly low amount of HP. So he makes up for this by having the highest magic in the game. I would almost argue it's too high. Because with Kissling in the party at this point, you actually cap your MP at 99. So a lot of the MP that he ends up adding, especially if you decide to level up beyond this point, is kind of going to waste. You would think that he could make up for this with good spells. And he has some okay support spells, but he has the... I want to say it's the only tier 4 magic spell, like offensive magic spell in the game, like of anybody. He's the only one with a spell that powerful. But all of his offensive spells are thunder-based. And on top of that, it still doesn't, even with the spells that powerful, it doesn't quite make up for his exceptionally low attack. Which is why every time I've cast a spell with him, it always looks like, okay, that did about as much damage as a normal attack. So, what we get at the end of the day is... Kissling just has... He's exceptionally fragile, and he's got some really good spells, but they really don't make up for his fragility and his low attack. Kissling would be really good maybe against specifically water-based enemies, ice-based enemies, because he could have that thunder advantage. Otherwise, like, he's not even worth having in the party. And even if you're going up against water-based enemies, he has no area spells. So it would work best against stronger enemies, like a single stronger enemy. But if you're fighting a single stronger enemy, it'll just one-shot him. So honestly, I feel bad saying it, but Kissling is an absolutely useless party member. Moving on then to Big Bull, who has the highest HP in the game by a margin. He has the highest attack in the game by a margin. He has the second lowest defense in the game. Actually, no, he has average defense. Never mind. He has average defense and average MP. So, shockingly, he gives average MP, which means you're still not going to be lacking for MP if you get into a fight with him. Has average defense, so he'll be taking about as much damage as most people. The highest attack in the game, yes, but he also gets no weapon? Really? So you'll see that really high attack, especially in your 50s or 60s, not quite be as high. And he has exceptionally high HP, but he has kind of an average to low defense, which means he has the same survivability, but if you're going to be curing him with spells, you're kind of it's going to be costly to heal him. It'll work well come endgame when you have like Miracle Nuts that just full heal you. Those are good for Big Bull specifically. Spell-wise, he doesn't have a huge selection, but what he has is solid. He has some bare-bones support skills, but they are for entire groups. He can raise an entire... your whole party's defense. He can lower your whole opponent's party's offense, or defense, one of the two. Good stuff. Like, he doesn't have a lot, but what he has is good. He even has offensive magic. It's single target and fire-based, but he has it. Which, at the end of the day, almost makes Big Bull like a better Kissling. Which is weird to say. Okay, so Big Bull, though, he's got the survivability to handle himself. He's got the offense to handle himself, and he's got enough spells to kind of hold the fort down. Nothing really holding him back, so to say. So he's another solid party member. Linda. Linda has average HP. I was going to say kind of high, but considering like your top 3 people all have exceptionally high HP, hers is kind of average HP. She has kind of average attack, and she has the highest defense in the game. I could not tell you why, but it's the highest defense in the game, hands down. And she also has a pretty high magic stat. So, again, average HP, highest defense in the game. That actually means she has pretty solid survivability, all things considered. Just as a reference for the highest defense of the game, she has 97 defense. Higher than Ari, who has 8 levels on her. 6 levels on her, but whatever. So, really good survivability. Average attack, so she can still hold her own there. And then spell-wise, she doesn't have a lot of offensive spells, but she has a lot of support, a lot of variety, and a lot of solid, good support spells. She even has a healing spell. And she does have a couple offensive spells. She's not completely devoid of offensive spells. So again, Linda is a pretty solid choice to have in. She can contribute quite a bit to the party. And then finally, Epros, who... Epros has the second lowest HP in the game. Second only to Kissling. He has average attack. He has average, I'm gonna say, defense. And 0 magic. So what you end up with then is... he doesn't quite have the survivability of some of the other characters. He's a little squishy, but not like Kissling levels of squishy. But I want to say, other than Kissling, everyone else has better survivability than him. He does have average attack, so if you wanted to go for that, he's about on par with Linda, attack-wise. Linda has more attack if she's higher level. But that's that. So just as far as, like, having the brute force to, like, stand and fight, he's okay. About on par with Linda, really. Maybe not quite as good, but about on par. But magic spell-wise, he's got a lot of weird stuff. He's effectively a gimmick character. Like, at the end of the day, he's a gimmick character. He's got stuff like he can put an enemy to... he can force an enemy to defend for 1 turn. Which, I mean, I guess if you spam that every turn, then you can keep the enemy defending, assuming they're not immune to it, because I'm pretty sure most bosses would be immune to it. He's got, like, an HP suction, so he can steal someone else's HP and heal himself, which, again, I suppose is good if he alone is down on HP, he alone needs to be healed, and it's his turn. Like, he's got a lot of really weird situational stuff and a lot of gimmicky stuff. Like, and he even adds 0 MP to the party. So, I'm kind of sad to say, but Epros just, he isn't an amazing party member. So what you get at the end of the day, like, he's better than Kissling, but he doesn't really have anything to stand out. If you could have fun with his more gimmicky nature, then right on. Go have a good time. But, especially for how I play, he's really not that useful. So what we end up with is Ari. You're required to have Ari in your party, which is good because of everybody. He's probably the one I would want to have most in the party. Rosalind is another absolutely solid party member. So Rosalind is really good to have around, and that really leaves Big Bull and Linda. And between those two, I'm going with Linda for her more supporty side. I mean, also she's cute. Look at her. So, that's what we're going with. I've also seen pretty much nobody take Big Bull to the final boss. So, there we go. So, I had to go grind a lot of money in order to buy all of these things, because pretty much everything that I had to buy was like 100k. Ended up grinding up about 1 million gold, or whatever the currency is in this game. Money. You had to end up grinding up about 1 million money in order to be able to afford everything that we had to afford. And there's still 1 or 2 things left for us. So, with all that said, we're done and out of the way, and that's a whole video all on its own. But I can't leave you with that. We're in the World Library, and we're going to head on in. This dungeon is a dungeon. This is a heck of a dungeon. Absolutely massive, labyrinthine. There are no urns in this dungeon that we have to destroy. There are, however, numerous locked doors, so we have to go get keys in order to open them up. So, gonna blitz my way through. I'm probably gonna be running from most fights because there's not a lot of safe place in here. But I do want to show off all the fights that we get into along the way, because there are some interesting fights, some dangerous fights, and one in particular that if you want to grind is your baby. So, let's hop on in. By the way, if you don't have a map for this, good luck. As I usually have to do in this, I could not find a map of this dungeon that I felt fit what I needed. So I kind of made my own map as a conglomeration of all the other information that I found in various maps. So I should theoretically have a pretty solid way of getting through here. So we're going to hop right on in and see how well we do. So heading, wow, right into one. Off to a good start. Okay, so as far as enemies go, all 3 of these enemies are pretty dangerous. The moon in the middle, I'm going to say, is probably the most dangerous enemy in here, with the mummy being a good second. So one of the big reason the moon is dangerous is I think as far as I know, he only has single target attacks, but all of them hurt like a son of a gun. So he's your top priority. The mummies, kind of similar. They hurt like a son of a gun, and they can cast that bind spell, which I'm not actually sure what does, so I'm cool just kind of ignoring them for a little while. You'll notice that Linda's AT gauge fills in very slowly, and that's not actually because her agility is like super lower than everybody else. It's because her attack animation is really long. Like, watch, everybody else runs in and attacks and then retreats when they're done attacking, and their gauge fills up as soon as they get back. So, they're back and filling up. Now Linda's back and filling up. That's like half their gauge. Which does make it kind of a pain. Okay, they didn't really do anything dangerous. So that's good. I think they have an offensive spell that hurts, and then they have that stop, which I'm not entirely sure what does. As far as I can tell, it goes away at the end of a fight, though. So you gain about 5k after every fight in here. If you want to know, if you want to math out approximately how many fights I had to do to gather the, I think it was 800,000 or 900,000 that I needed. Okay, so I think... No, I'm going this way still, and then I go around here. Yeah, and then I go this way, and then I see a ghost. And there should be a door right here. Yeah, did it. Crap. Okay, so, another two enemies here. All three of these are pretty weak. The Cursed Painting has a physical attack that does effectively nothing, and it has an area magic attack that does effectively nothing. So, pretty low priority. The boulder guy in the middle has a physical attack that does effectively nothing, and he can put a status effect on you, but I forget what it is. He doesn't do it very often, though. So I usually leave the rock guys as, like, lowest priority, because they do so little. I still kind of choose to do the combo attack, because at this point especially, I can kill any enemy in one turn with it. So just looking at efficiency... So just looking at efficiency, if there's anything I can do to kill 3 enemies in 2 turns, which I'm not sure I can do, then that would be the optimal strategy. But I can do a combo attack each turn and kill all 3 of them in 1 turn. I'm mildly lost. Yeah, where the heck am I? I'm not where I thought I was. So I just came through this door here. Okay, I know where I am. We're going this way. Okay, and that's going to take me into here, where we can cut across up to here. Oh, I was expecting a transition or something. We can just go straight in. This takes us into the right wing. Never mind, that took us into the right wing. Okay, we're in the right wing. So from here, we want to go in here... Hang a right to this room around this bookcase up top. So we did actually pass an item just a little while back, and I'm not worrying too much about it right now because we're gonna... Okay, here's another one. So that sun in the middle, if I had to come up with a priority scale, I'm not entirely sure where to place that sun. Because usually it does almost nothing. So I would actually place it, honestly, even below the Mummies in terms of priority. But when it decides to do something, it's dangerous. Usually when you're fighting the sun and the two moons, it doesn't do anything other than its physical attack, which doesn't really hurt much. And as long as all it does is its physical attack, then it's really low priority. Again, it's when it decides to do something is when it is dangerous. So you saw Ari's HP is down by about a quarter, and that was one attack by that moon, which, especially in a lengthy dungeon like this, that's costly. But also keep in mind that Ari is level 70, and I came into this dungeon like 20 levels ago. Those guys were really dangerous early on. Okay, so I think I'm just going all the way down here. There should be... Ah, there is an NPC in here. Wait, so somebody was doing this before? So somebody ran away from the library. The Garnet Key. This is, as winding as this was, this is pretty much the only thing you can do at the start. So, you know, that's a sign for where this dungeon's going. So until next time, everyone, we're like a quarter of the way through this dungeon. Next time, we're gonna finish this bad boy up.